My name is Jason Hubbard. I am the sales manager for Oak Wells Aquatics. I've been with Oak Wells Aquatics for about 6 years now. Previous to that, I had some experience in the field as a superintendent. So I got to see the construction side of it up close, and then I moved on to the sales portion of it, and then ultimately managing our team. Yeah, if you're a homeowner, if you've never built a pool before and you call us, if you get on the phone, we're going to have some questions for you. We're going to take careful notes. We're going to explore if it's a good fit for both. Sometimes the customer and the contractor are not a good fit, so we would evaluate that on the phone. Once we're done evaluating that, we would go over all the things about your dream space, how you want the pool built, the features that you would want on the pool, and then I would answer all the questions that maybe you didn't ask. And we would go over those together as far as warranties and timelines and such. Sometimes people don't know to ask those questions. The Oak Wells approach to going over a bid with a customer looks something like this. We would first have the initial phone call. We would do a 3D design for you, a rendering, and that would be free of charge. A lot of companies charge for that. You get as many renderings as you want. Once we have the rendering that you love, we'll take that rendering, we'll price it out, and then we'll discuss the price. A disadvantage a lot of customers put themselves in with regards to pool construction is that they get their quotes. They're smart enough to get 3 quotes. All of their friends told them they should. They go and they get the 3 quotes, and then generally they'll either take the lowest or maybe throw out the highest and the lowest and take the middle, but you really don't know what you're getting. And it's fair to say, I try to go over this with the customer, is like maybe your line of work, perhaps you're an attorney, perhaps you're an engineer. There's definitely going to be things that I don't understand if I was to talk to you in your particular genre of work. So the same thing applies to pools. Everybody thinks it's just really a pool in your backyard, water in it, everything looks the same. There's no real way for the average person to discern the difference. But there's actually as much as 50 things that could be different on pool to pool. So we have 50 points that we go over with the customer, and we explain exactly where there's deficiencies in the other bids. If a customer is willing to take that step and willing to go to the point of comparing bids, we don't need to see names. We don't need to see prices. None of that really, frankly, is my business. However, what you're actually getting is my business, and being in the know and understanding the construction of a pool, I would be able to carefully go over all that with you. If you take the time to go over that, and this is the second or third biggest investment of your life, you're more than positioned, you're in a much better position than you would have been had you not gone over the bids. You'll know more about the pool. You'll know more about the construction of the pool. And by the time that I'm done explaining everything with you carefully and comparing those bids, you'll be able to see that the other company possibly was in a race to the bottom, where we're in a race to the top. We're going to use better material, from the concrete to the steel schedule to the amount of steel in the beam, the amount of size of the plumbing, the amount of sealants that we put on the pool. We put on a very specific amount of sealants, and every single component of the 50 points has a definite, real, tangible result that you would start to understand makes just a better pool. So we deal in lifetime products. We don't do fiberglass pools. They're temporary products. We deal in lifetime products with lifetime warranties, written, transferable on both the shell and the interior finish. So you'll get a different experience with another builder. Some of them are great, and some of them may be comparable. And those are the people that you really want to be interviewing for business as far as finding that relationship with the contractor. So in front of me, I have an example of a customer supplied quote. So the customer was smart enough to take the time to go over the quotes and understand. A lot of times at the end of the quote process, the customer maybe has a little bit of cold feet about calling the contractor back and saying no. So we try to introduce that early in the conversation. It's completely okay to say no. Obviously, I want the most for you and your family, and if we do come up deficient on our end, I'd want you to go with the other company. But here's an example of a comparison quote that we had, and I can go over some very glaring differences that maybe the average person wouldn't have known to ask about. So starting out, the dimensions of the pool. Oftentimes I'll get a customer that says, hey, they've got the same exact bid as you, and then I go and jump on the bid and I look at square feet, and it's significantly different. The square footage of the pool is directly related to the material. It goes into a spreadsheet which spits out a number at the bottom for the price. So that's the first thing that a customer might miss, is that something was left out, whether it be pavers on the lanai or whether it be the square footage of the pool. That's the first place that we could have a disparity. The second place on here is going to be in the concrete. So the state minimum for Florida is 4,000 PSI. This quote has a 4,000 PSI quote on it. We shoot a 5,000 PSI. We pay extra for that. So everything that I'm going to go over with you in the process, keep in mind, we pay extra for. And at the end, the difference won't be very much in price generally, but I'm going to give you way more value, and I'll point it out. They have lifetime warranty on the shell of the pool written here. Ours is lifetime, written, and transferable. So it's not just a lifetime warranty, but when the customer sees the word lifetime, they think it's exactly the same, and it's not. Especially if you were choosing to move maybe in the future, having a transferable warranty on the pool is a huge selling point for your house. Then we have all heavy gauge Schedule 40 PVC plumbing. All heavy gauge is vague and ambiguous. We use 2.5-inch plumbing from the drains. They're channel drains, so they carry more water. They're not the antique round style drains. So when we have something like all heavy gauge, it sounds to the customer like they're getting something significant, but the difference could be 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 2.5 inch. 1.5 is kind of going by the way of the dinosaur. However, most companies use 2 inch. We use 2.5 inch. It moves more water. Because it moves more water, it filters your pool more often. If your pool is filtered more often, it will stay cleaner, and everybody's busy and nobody wants to stay out there and clean their pool. High flow surface skimmer, we put in 2 skimmers. It's important that we get the debris off the top before it ever reaches the bottom, adds to the cleanliness of the pool. This quote has 3 return lines. We have 5 return lines. We have 3 wall returns. We have 2 in the floor. This provides better circulation for the pool. And the 3 main things for keeping your pool clean are circulation, filtration, and sanitation. Pentair equipment. We can use any equipment. We're not married to an equipment company. I could put Pentair equipment in your pool for you, but it doesn't carry the same type of warranty that Jandy does. In addition to that, we're a warranty station. We warehouse all the parts locally. So for us, we can warranty everything right down to the valves. If it says Jandy on it, it carries the Jandy warranty, and that's 3 years parts and 3 years labor. So that's why we don't use Pentair as a standard. White pebble plaster is included in this quote, which would be a standard for us as well. But it says limited lifetime warranty, and again, the devil's in the details. We have a written, transferable lifetime warranty, so that's important to know. The lights in the pool, so it describes in this that you're going to get lights, and that's great. Are they white lights? Are they color lights? How many lights? What's the wattage of the lights? You can get 12-watt lights, you can get 14-watt lights, you can get 24-watt lights, 25. So it's important to point out that using the Jandy equipment, we always give you the biggest, brightest lights. This is not only a pool, it's for many people an outdoor visual feature for their yard, for their space. So when I get to the end, I flip the lights on. If they're 12-watt lights, you're going to be quite disappointed. But if they're 25-watt lights or 24-watt lights, which are the 2 different sizes that Jandy carries in both a infinite color, which is not available in any other brand. So if you were to go to Pentair, you wouldn't have the availability of an infinite color light where you can change to any color that you wanted. We have that available in a 25-watt light, and it's also dimmable. So those things right there, you're not going to find in another company who has Pentair equipment, for definitely sure. We have on here a heater, and we have an AquaCal heater. So the AquaCal heater with the Pentair equipment, it's kind of a mismatch. We're going to have matched equipment for you. We're going to have all Jandy equipment down to the valves, including the heater. Everything will match. Everything will be Jandy. If that's important to you, that's a significant thing with our quote. Moving on this quote, I have a glaring disparity in the footers. So on the footers here, the customer's getting charged $6,000 for 54 linear feet. We'd be about half of that on our footer price. So we're not looking to take advantage of the customer at a place where they might not know. So the price of footers is something your average person wouldn't know. But if you had taken the time to compare these 2 quotes, I would have pointed that out to you. You would have seen there was at least $3,000 hidden there in your price. Moving on to your interior finish upgrade. So on this, it included an interior finish upgrade of about $2,500. For me, if you wanted to go to a second tier, I don't want to disappoint you. It's going to be on average about $400 to $500 for your pool to go to a second tier upgrade. Here you're at $2,500. So again, there's another place where money's kind of hidden an extra charge. Then we have acid wash. Acid wash is really important. The Concrete Council kind of sets the standards for how concrete is applied and the strength of concrete and so on. So if you are to do any research and you look that up with the Concrete Council, they'll tell you that the strength of concrete is directly related to the pH of the concrete. So it's pH specific. When you take something like muriatic acid and you wash the interior of the pool, you affect the pH of the pool, and thereby you affect the strength of the concrete. Most people wouldn't know it. 95% of your builders are going to use muriatic acid to wash that interior shell prior to the interior finish going in. So we don't use that. We use gentle citric acid. It's much greener and much friendlier. If you don't believe me, look up somebody pouring muriatic acid on something. It's green, it starts smoking, it's extremely volatile. So you put in this beautiful shell on your pool. You may or may not have had that lifetime warranty on the shell, but if you didn't, and then they put the muriatic acid on the interior of the pool, now you've compromised the strength of the concrete. And that's not for you to know. That's for your contractor to know, and they should have stuck to the best practice, and they should have made sure that you had the right wash on the pool. And I pay extra for that. Muriatic acid is a cheap way to go. I pay extra for that to have it washed where it's not going to affect the pH. Something as simple as this, surge protection at your equipment. I'm going to put in a $10,000 to $12,000 equipment package on your equipment. I'm going to include surge protection. What's the cost to me for that? It's additional, it is. But in the scheme of things, let's say it's a $100,000 investment. In the scheme of things, it's about $400. So for me to put in that surge protection at your equipment for $400 to save you $12,000 potentially from a lightning strike, that's a very small thing. So what you'll find from builder to builder is if you were to take my quote back and compare it, they'll say, oh, sure, we can put in surge protection for you at the equipment. But the question is, why didn't they do it in the first place? And what other places were they cutting corners to save a little bit of money? I know how frustrated I would be as a customer if I were to get to the end and I had a lightning strike that just destroyed $12,000 of brand new equipment. I would be extremely frustrated. So we mitigate that with surge protection at the equipment. Every company should do it. They don't. Our standards are other companies' upgrades. So as you start working through these quotes and you see the different things that I do and you go back to the other builders, they're going to say, sure, we can do that, or sure, we do that. Maybe they don't. There's some things that are kind of hidden in the build that you wouldn't know. With regards to steel schedule, for example, we tie on a 10 by 10 grid. We know classically from having a whole remodel division that pools will crack between the deep end and the shallow end. That potential for them to crack at that point is exactly where we're going to put extra steel. So the steel schedule is increased in our pools at the highest point of stress from a 10 by 10 grid to a 5 by 10 grid. And all these quotes that I get, let's say either 12 by 12 or 10 by 10, give it a year or two, everybody will catch up to us and they'll start saying, hey, now we have a 5 by 10 grid in that area as well. We doubled steel in the lip of the pool, the bond beam. We doubled steel in that area. The best analogy for that is a red Solo cup. Everybody knows the red Solo cup. It has the classic rolled rim. That rolled rim is patented and it helps the cup retain its shape. If you were to cut that off, the cup would go oblong if it were full of water. So we can see that the strength on that cup is derived from that point. Same thing happens in the pool. We put steel into the bond beam, which is that same area that you would see on the red Solo cup. And having that extra steel there just increases the strength of the pool. Because while I am going to give you lifetime written transferable warranties on both the shell and the interior finish, I don't ever want to have to come and do that. So I'm going to make sure I overbuild the pool in every way. And I can show you exactly how I do it. But the customer has to be at least confident enough to come back with the quotes and say, Jason, let's take a look at these and let's explore this and help me understand exactly what I'm getting in value. If you're smart enough to do that, you're going to make a great investment. If you take $100,000 and give it to the first person that has the lowest price, you'll probably be disappointed at some point. Here's an example. The way that we prep the pool on the interior, we prep it with something called permacoat. Permacoat seals the concrete because, contrary to popular belief, concrete won't hold water. It's permeable. So it will also release minerals. There's lime in concrete, among other things, and they'll come through the interior finish of the pool. So the first thing we do is we put 3 coats of permacoat on that shell. It's a lot like painting. It's a good analogy if you think about painting. So if you sand and you prime, the paint will stick. So that's kind of what we're doing on the interior of the pool. We're going to apply those 3 coats of permacoat. It's going to seal that interior finish. It's going to prevent the lime from coming through with something called effervescence. You build your pool and you don't seal that 5, 6 months down the road, you start to have white coming through the interior finish everywhere, and you're not sure what that is as a customer, and nobody ever explained it to you. And what it is those minerals coming through because the concrete wasn't sealed. So I pay extra to have that sealed and provide a chemical and mechanical bond for the interior finish. And then you get a finish that's going to stay. We are very intent on providing a lifetime product, not a temporary product. We don't sell other types of pools because in general, everything except a gunite pool built the right way is a temporary product. So that's why we do that. Going back to our quote here, we have the payment schedule. This is a real sticking point for me. With Oak Wells, we have the payment schedule broke up into very small payments throughout the process. And the reason that we do that is because there's a commensurate amount of work done for a commensurate amount of pay. If we were ever to be in a position where we couldn't complete your pool, you wouldn't be in a bad position to go directly to another builder and have the pool completed. However, when you start getting into 50-50 deals, 50% down, 50% of completion, you can really be in a bad place. Just last year alone, we completed 4 pools for companies that had gone out of business for reasons I'll explain in a minute. One among reasons that I'll explain in a minute. Those companies went out of business. We stepped in and were able to help the customer get to the finish line. And sometimes we have to do that at a discount just to try and help somebody out. I've had a lot of people come to me in tears over contractors leaving them high and dry, and they couldn't complete their pool. So on this one, we have 4 payments. And by the second payment, you are 60% into the deal. So there's real potential there if the company were to go out of business for you to be left holding the bag and possibly not even have enough funds left to complete your pool. So ours is broken down very carefully, small payments, equal amount of work, equal amount of pay, and it keeps the customer comfortable that they're not paying too much throughout the process. A lot of times I'll get somebody has a quote for a pool, and the quote is going to be from another company, and they're dramatically lower than what I'm offering. There's a lot of people building out of their garage. There's a very low barrier to entry in this industry. You can get a qualifier and a business license and subcontract every portion of the build, and you're in business tomorrow. So the important part to know there is you want quality builders with quality reputations. You should be looking at reputations online. You want those builders to all be within a reasonable amount of money of each other. If there's a great disparity between your lowest bid, I can almost guarantee you the person's not charging enough. If they're not charging enough, what does that mean to you? What we see classically in the pool industry is that when a company doesn't charge enough, they are robbing Peter to pay Paul. So they just sold you a pool. Unbeknownst to you, you paid what they said here and you're 60% into the deal. Much of the 60% is going to pay for the pool that they're trying to finish. Then they're coming to you and they have to sell another pool to add money to yours to finish yours. So that becomes a domino effect down the line. So the amount of time that the company's been in business is extremely important. Their online reputation is extremely important. And how they derive their income. Are they a strong company? Are they charging enough for my pool? Because if you think about it, it's a marriage of sorts. If I'm going to offer you a lifetime warranty on the interior finish, if I'm going to offer you that lifetime warranty on the shell, and we are 15 years down the road, you want to pick up the phone and know that I'm still here. So we have 4 to 5 different income streams here at Oak Wells that provide stability for the company, whereas we can offer those warranties and give you that idea that in the future, we'll be here if you need us. So those are the commercial division. We do commercial pools. We do residential pools. We dig pools for smaller companies. We talked about that low barrier to entry for another company just getting started. If they are just getting started, they probably don't have a $300,000 excavator. So we'll go and we'll dig pools for those smaller companies while they're getting started. Some of those companies will be amazing in the future. They'll be great pool companies. I'm not here to disparage every person that's coming into the pool industry. We welcome that competition. That competition raises the bar, as we try to do, to give customers better products. In addition to those 3 divisions, we have a remodel division. So the remodel division is very helpful to us with regards to coaching a new customer with a new pool, because we see what goes wrong with pools. We see when plumbing fails, we see when interior finishes fail, we see when concrete fails. It's a thing. A pool can crack in half. Florida, we have very sandy soil. It's not firm. The water table is extremely high, which is why we don't do fiberglass pools. But the point I'm making there is that that construction method is extremely important with regards to our soil, how that's built. So everything that I do is above and beyond what a normal company would do. We're in a race to the top, and I can make it obvious if you'll take a minute and you'll go over those bids with me. So with regards to value on the pool, since we do offer lifetime written transferable warranties on both the shell and the interior finish, it's important for you to understand what is the other side of that coin. You got your bid, you thought it was a good company, they were a little bit cheaper than I was and you went with them, but their warranty didn't say lifetime written and transferable. In there, if you did have to redo the interior of the pool, I wanted to be able to give my customer a real world look at that. So our remodel department, I went to our remodel specialist, Tony. I said, Tony, can you pull out your last 2 bids on average size pools? The average size pool in Florida is about 400 square feet. He pulled out those 2 bids for me. One was $15,000 and one was $17,000. So that is the cost right now currently for us to redo the entire interior of the pool with a 15-year product. So on a remodel, understand that we didn't do the concrete portion of it. We didn't do the other facets of the pool. We didn't prep the pool. So we don't know how that was done. So we can't offer the lifetime warranty that we can offer with a brand new pool, but we can't offer a 15-year warranty on a remodel. So how are you at a disadvantage? If you went with another company that was $2,000 cheaper than I was because you felt like you were saving money, you gave away $15,000 to $17,000 worth of remodel on the interior finish. That was given away because more than likely the other company is not going to offer what I offer. And then you will have reduced what I can offer to you in the beginning as a lifetime warranty. You'll have reduced it to a remodel warranty, which is 15 years. It's still significant, and it really depends on the situation. If my customer says, Jason, we're moving in 2 years, then I say maybe it's a better choice for you not to go with a custom pool company with a lifetime product, but to go with a discount pool company because they may be able to cut some corners and save you some money, and you're going to move in 2 years, and it really doesn't matter to you. So we do cater to a very specific client, and that client is generally busy professionals looking for a lifetime product with lifetime warranties and construction that's way above board. So if you'll give me the opportunity, I'll show you how the construction is above board. It's not lip service. I'll show you everything that I say. But a lot of customers get to the end, they're a little bit worried about offering up those bids without the names, without the prices, and comparing. So they're worried that nobody wants to feel foolish, and they sometimes feel like, hey, I just don't see the value in it. So if you'll take an opportunity to talk to me about that, I'll point it out to you. And if I'm not the best for your family, I'll bow out gracefully.